Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the country's biggest stars and some of my favourite people. And we've got one for you today. A lady who shot to fame as a semi-finalist on Britain's Got Talent and also made her name on RuPaul's Drag Race UK. Voix is one of the most popular, most talented and hysterical. Do we say female impersonator? Do we say drag queen? What do we say?
Wow, well, that was quite an introduction. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Well, do you know what? It's funny. We get drag a lot. I think it's because of the colour of the hair, but we are. We'd like to think of myself as a real woman going down that route. So, but we do doing lots of impersonations of different women along the way. So I am just a cabaret diva. I think that's the best way to describe it personally.
This act never gets old, does it? I mean, whether you're in Las Vegas, whether you're in London or in the North, people love to see someone who's got an act, who can sing and put on a turn. I mean, it's a timeless thing that you've got.
Oh, it's great, and I think it's actually becoming more and more popular. Just literally, last night I was down at Crazy Coq's in London at Piccadilly Circus, which is one of the few remaining sort of old, glamorous cabaret-style rooms with the little tables with the lamps on and the gorgeous acoustic. And it's I think the venue side of it is a bit of a dying art, unfortunately, but the actual, you know, the want of seeing those acts and those, as you said, those people just turning up to be entertained and live, with live music and live singing and comedy is getting more and more popular, I think.
I was looking at your clips on YouTube, and it's interesting that you, A, have a lovely voice. I think that's what we saw on Britain's Got Talent. You also don't seem to go vulgar. I mean, a lot of them do. Is that intentional, or is it just that those clips aren't online?
It is intentional. I can go vulgar, but I get told off by management when I do. But no, it is absolutely conscious. It's been aware of trying not to, swear just for the sake of swearing, or try not to go blue or crude or crass in any of the material. I think it's just cleverer comedy if you can avoid that sort of route, where you might be watching, I don't know, a film on the television with an elderly relative or something, and there's swearing or a sex scene that comes from that cringy thing that happens. And I'd like to think that people that came along to see my act could be 16, they could be 80, and there's no one gets alienated by anything that's too crude or crass. And I think the cleaner you keep it, the more encompassing the act is for all generations, really. And
I also think it gives you a sort of classier reputation as well, because interesting, the types of song you sing are those big classic belters, and again, timeless. People love to hear them.
Love to hear them, and if you look back at those divas, like my favourite ones, my Liza Minnelli's, your Shirley Bassey's, your big old icons, they've always been very glamorous, never crude, never talked about sex or anything like that on interviews, all kept it very much career-focused and entertaining. I think there's a lot to be said for that in terms of survival in the industry, really.
And then we look at your survival. I mean, it's interesting how you continue to reinvent yourself with these TV shows, but under that is a life in cabaret and doing the live stuff. When did you do your first gig?
Oh, right, we're going back. My first gig was down at Madame Jojo's, which is sadly no more, although I believe it's going to be reopened. But yeah, I was down there for about 7 years, so I really sort of cut my teeth on the cabaret scene down there, because it was very much a hen night, stag night affair, really. So it was some of the roughest of crowds I've ever played to, and you learn how to handle that. And really, I think those sort of gigs at the early days were a lot more about crowd control, really, more than about your show content. So then the ability to then come off that to do, theatre tours, which we're doing now, and even the television shows, you get a chance to develop your act and have a watching audience, and not too much of a drunken crowd, really. You wouldn't be where you are now if you hadn't done that. My goodness me, I've had, beer bottles and all sorts thrown at me in my past, but we get through it. Now it's champagne glasses chinking, which is a much nicer evening.
Yeah. I wonder how you get the backbone to deal with that, because you need to be a certain type of person who can stand there and take it and then continue to entertain. Was there a point when you realised you were up for it? Because it is intimidating, and no matter how much front you've got, I mean, it's still hurtful, isn't it, when people attack you?
Yeah, it is. And I think, but strangely, it's like any of us that get on there and do this sort of work, it becomes strangely addictive, really. It's a bit like a drug. The more you do it, you miss it if you have a couple of weeks off or anything like that. And I think there's a fear of doing it. Obviously, there's the nerves of that happening. But if you're in the right frame of mind in a gig, sometimes if someone heckles you or shouts something out, it can actually, you'll want it, and it can develop new material and comedy that you didn't even know you had. And you'll remember that one put down or that one banter you had, and you might even bring that into your material for future. So sometimes sometimes you can't. Sometimes they can they can clean you, and it's a bit of a a big blemish on the show on the night, depending on what mood you're in. But I think it comes with years of experience of being prepared for it. I don't think you're ever fully armed for what anyone might say, but I think I'm looking at just making sure that you leave with the last word. I think is always key.
Have you got a ton of delicious singers in your armoury that you can throw out that are ready to go at any point, or is it all ad-lib?
Predominantly all ad-lib, because I think it's all about the audience and the crowd that you're with on that night. And I think I've learned that sometimes you can do a show with an audience, or you can do a show at an audience. And I think that's what I try to avoid, is doing it at them and just reeling off a load of material that isn't applicable to maybe it's the venue or something that's going on in the news that day. I try and make it as topical as I can. So it is very much off the cuff, but you can normally get away with slating something they're wearing or whatever, and that's a clean way to get the audience on your side.
They're normally not the best dressed, are they?
But I think the key thing is to always make sure that no one leaves the room either feeling alienated or offended. I think that's the key thing. I'll always make sure I go around afterwards to anyone, even if they've been picked on involuntarily. I'll always make sure I go around afterwards and thanks for being a good sport and things like that, because they're all in there for the same purpose. So
are there still as many people wanting to do this? I mean, when I go to Blackpool, I see there's a lot of it about, but there aren't necessarily a lot of people doing it very well. I mean, you look so perfect, and I think it is a money game as well. You've got to have a great outfit and the wig and the makeup. It's got to be done beautifully. If not, it just looks crap.
Absolutely, and I think you've got to. It is a very expensive art form, but I think if you put the money into cabaret and those shows and bring, even if you're doing the smallest venue, if you bring a sense of production and style to it, it transcends wherever you're performing it, and it's across the board. I think you're right. I think there's a lot of sort of lower end sort of acts that are still going along what we saw in the 80s, a lot more of the cheaper side of it, where you've got the other side of it, like people like like myself and Kerry Dupree and people like that, who are still churning in, like paying for expensive costume makers and feathers and stones, and we might only be doing some of the smaller venues that the other acts are doing, but it's not making it look like you're part of that niche. It's making it look like you're always ready for the next step. And I think I always remember doing Madame Jojo's, and you'd wear something and people would say to me, "Why are you wearing that down here? That's fabulous. You should save that for best." But no one's ever going to come and see your show and know what you've got your best dress at home. You're going to see what you're wearing on that night, and I think that's the key thing to remember.
Well, it's a ridiculous thing to say. That's like saying save your best gags in case you have a better gig, isn't it? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is, and it's funny, and it's no one producer is going to say, "Oh, I bet you've got a better dress at home. I'll put you on that TV show."
Right.
It doesn't quite work like that.
Talking of TV shows, you did venture into that, and a brave move to go on Britain's Got Talent. I'm not sure it's always a wise move for people, but you did well. I mean, you got through and you got on telly, which most don't, because you're either going to be made fun of or you're going to win that show. There's very little in between, isn't there?
Absolutely. I was very, very snobby about the whole thing, whether to do it. We were doing a show at, I think it was in Clapham somewhere, with the London Gay Big Band that was on the programme with, and some of their researchers came and saw us do this show, and they were saying to us, "Oh, we'd love you to come on the show, it's what we need, and we think you'd go very far." And we were all a bit, "Oh, do we really want to do this?" Because as you said, it can go either way. But they were so supportive, it was great. We had a great journey with all of the ITV team. They were right behind us, and luckily we got through as far as we did, really, because I think we were always a bit surprised every time we got through another hurdle. But it was a great experience. As I said, they didn't do any damage material at all to the act. And to have that production thrown at it, me coming through the lift at the top of the stairs and the lighted staircase and all the bandstands and the 8 dancers in tuxedos. And it was lovely to have that sense of what the act could be, and to see it to that level for me was wonderful, even though it was only 2-3 minutes of that on the telly. But it's a very tough competition to win. I mean, a dog won it the year before me and a dog won it the year after me.
Well, I think Sue Pollard was beaten by a dog on Opportunity Knock, so take the compliment.
I think I was up against an 80-year-old grandma and a child and someone in a wheelchair. So I don't think I was going to get the sympathy vote on that semi-final.
How did you cope with that moment of realising 8 million people to 10 million were watching you? Do you just forget that, or is it just years of experience?
Yeah, do you know the biggest thing for me was I remember on that day we obviously had a camera rehearsal. It obviously went out live on the night, but on the afternoon we had a camera rehearsal, and obviously to have a studio audience in. So from all my years of theatre, I was playing it to the audience, and they were saying, no, you can't do it like that. You've got to, when you stand here, you've got to look at that camera. When you stand there, you've got to look at that camera. When you move to that, it's that camera. So I almost had to ignore the fact that there was a couple of hundred live people even in the studio, and just play, which is very odd for me to have your sightline picked, when you're doing something live. But no, I think if you hadn't had the live audience, it probably would have felt a lot more surreal, and my focus would have been on, as you said, the millions of people watching it at home. But it was, for me, I just focused it on the room and that judge's table. In my head, it was a cabaret space, and I was doing my thing, really. I did have a small miniature of vodka in my makeup bag, which I said was to clean my makeup brushes, so I got away with it.
Fantastic.
So I think I downed that quickly before I went on, which that helped.
If in doubt, get drunk, that's what I say.
Yeah, and I remember being first on with the first act on, and they literally, I was sat in the green room, and then they came and got me, and they're walking me along, and all of a sudden I know I'm on the lift, and there's the mic, and it happened. It was sort of blinking, it was over, really. It was like being led to the doctors without being told.
I've spoken to hundreds of people who've done X Factor and Britain's Got Talent, and I'm always amazed how during that bubble you are it, and you're the most important thing in the world, and the second the series ends, everybody's forgotten. Did it change your life and career, or was it just a nice thing to remember?
Going back to what you were saying earlier about not many people sort of feel like it's been done very well or money into it, it helped me be seen above all of that, and it wasn't a sort of, I thought it would be a very quick flash in the pan. I thought I'd get a few nice, gigs off the back. It may be something like an appearance on Loose Women if you're lucky, and, that sort of thing. And then 3 months down the line, there's nothing. But it's actually been a much more of a slow burn for over the last couple of years. We've got all the big main stage prides obviously came with the back of it. We did all the London Pride main stages and all of that stuff, travelled all over the world. But then the things like the America bookings came in. It was amazing how, for me, Britain's Got Talent, the interest across the pond in America and Europe was much bigger than it was here even. Because, of course, over there they think I won it. I didn't correct them that I didn't. And but that was amazing. I think it's something much more commercial. It's a way that they can market you without just being another act that's coming over. So outside of work, it became a lot more international and still really riding off the back of it now. I mean, we tend to push the Ab Fab film, which I did last year, a bit more because that's a bit more current. Which is great, that helps a lot. But no, it helps a lot more than I thought it was going to, I'll be honest.
To be in that arena with that level of star must be thrilling, and the fact they chose you. How do you get that gig? Was it exciting? Were you pleased with how they portrayed you?
You can imagine it was so exciting. I remember being I was in Spain, I was working on a gig out there, and I had a phone call from my manager. He knew that it was my last gig in Spain. We had a couple of, I think like one more day left on the beach afterwards, and he knew I would be out drinking that night, and he rang me. I got this voicemail saying, call me now, do not drink tonight. And I was like, what's this all about? And he rang me and he said, he's had a call from the Ab Fab film, and Jennifer Saunders had seen the clips from Britain's Got Talent. She wanted me for the film, and I had to fly back in the morning to pre-record the vocals, because I sing a song in the film, for the film. So he was thinking, don't go out partying tonight and drinking. Yeah. And I just couldn't believe it. I thought, my goodness. And it wasn't until I went the next day to record the vocals. I sing a very small section, but I sang the whole thing, but that obviously wasn't shown. That's somewhere on editing floor. But it's I went to the recording studios, and just before I went in, Jane Horrocks walked out, because she'd just been recording something for the film, and you think, oh my gosh, this is it. This is, there's Bubbles from Ab Fab, and I'm going in to be part of it. And then it was a wonderful day filming. Jennifer and Joanna and Mandy, the director, and everyone were just so adorable. In fact, the producer of the film came to my show last night, so they've kept in touch by all sorts of different means, and they portrayed it so well in the film. I mean, it's a bonkers film. It's bonkers as a series. I love it. So the best thing is, I get all the emails from people saying, I was just on a British Airways flight, and I've seen you on the online entertainment. You know you've made it when you're on BA Insight Entertainment.
That's what it is, isn't it? It's those moments where people catch it later on, and that will live forever. And I guess that's the amazing thing about YouTube. Those videos stay online, and when they go viral, there's no stopping it. It will make you a star forever. So who knows? And isn't it funny how one day can change your life forever? We never know when the phone's going to ring and who's going to call.
Oh, I think absolutely. I think especially in this game, you never quite... I think that's what keeps us all going and keep pushing at it, because you just never know what's going to come next, or what's going to come off. It could be the gig that you could think is going to be the worst gig of the week, and then something comes off the back of that, And I'm a big believer that every gig you do is a stepping stone to the next thing you do, because it's a journey, isn't it? I wouldn't have the ability to handle a crowd if I hadn't done Madame Jojo's. I wouldn't have had the filming experience from Britain's Got Talent to be able to do Ab Fab as relaxed as I felt I could. And it all sort of just links and connects through.
Yeah, it's interesting how life leads you in different directions. And I wonder how this country's doing. I mean, we've got Blackpool, we've got Crazy Coqs in London. But as you say, so many of these venues have closed. Is cabaret still thriving, or do you have to now go to the continent and to America to work?
Do you know what? I would have, if you'd asked me that 6 months ago, I personally would have felt that it was more that case. But to be honest, since we've started pushing this new tour I'm doing, this Red Hot Globetrot tour out across the UK, we've had amazing interest. It just sort of snowballed. We're doing, a couple of venues in Scotland have opened up in places like Dundee and Aberdeen, and there's the Brighton Festival, doing the Spiegel tent, which we're doing. Even the Wales Millennium Centre have opened a cabaret space in their sort of bar restaurant area, which we're doing, and I think there's some great names. I think Kerry Dupree's doing there, as well as loads of other big cabaret names. So yeah. I think the places in the UK are realising the demand for it, and instead of just making it a ropey corner of a basement bar, they're making them into glamorous cabaret venues. So I think the UK cabaret scene is really growing, and I think Madame Jojo's is going to reopen as some lovely swanky cabaret theatre. So I think we'll see. But I'd love it if we saw a resurgence of it over here. I think we've certainly got the clientele for it. I think the public love it.
Well, I'm such a big fan of what people like you and Kerry do. I think you're so dedicated. You work harder than anyone in the business. The effort to get on stage and look so glamorous, and the effort and money you put into it is unbelievable. Congratulations on everything. If you want to find out more, we can go to your website for tour dates and all the contact information as well. What's your website?
It's lavoistheshow.com.
lavoistheshow.com.
And I look forward to seeing anyone that's in there. If I'm in their local town, come along. It'd be lovely.
Lavois is our special guest. You can find out more by going to lavoistheshow.com. Find out tour dates. Great to talk to you.
Lots of love. Take care now.